Hi everyone, I'm the Gnome, and today I'd like to talk to you about my favourite TV series. No, not Top Cat, but actually The Wire. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail as to why it's so good and why you should watch it. I'm also going to compare it against other popular cop TV series to compare and contrast what's good and what's bad about it. So The Wire is set in Baltimore, in kind of around about these times, and based on David Simon's Homicide Year on the Killing Streets book. Part of that book follows the homicide detectives, the most important of all the detectives, going about a year as a normal homicide officer with what they deal with. As that was going, as he was recording that information, a few detectives were set off to one side to deal with a drug kingpin to try and wiretap his phones to try and get further information. So whereas the series of Homicide dealt with more on the kind of day-to-day interactions of the homicide police, The Wire looks actually at the wiretapping operation. The first thing I would say about The Wire is that it feels real. No, I've never been a homicide detective. No, I've never been to Baltimore. But it genuinely just feels real. The cop work is done by cajoling, discussion, shouting at suspects, trying to get information where they don't want to provide the details. There's no magic button. There's no magic technology that will solve the crime. It's all about people. It's all about people interacting with people to try and get something. Everyone's hiding something. Everyone only wants to give a certain information to try and beat the other. And then it's an interesting battle between the cops and the criminals as to where that comes from and what actual information is disclosed. Something else that The Wire does that not a lot of other shows do is it shows both sides. We get to see some, if not more, information from the criminal side of things as we actually do on the police side. So on the criminal side of things, there's the Barksdale gang, run by Avon Barksdale, your standard kind of criminal drug dealer, and his lieutenant Stringer Bell. Stringer Bell's probably the best character in the show. He's played by Idris Elba, the British actor, and he just wants more. He wants to try and legitimise part of the business, just try and get out of the gangster trapping. We also get to meet many of Barksdale's crew, his nephew D'Angelo, and then also some of the other corner kids, like Poot, and really there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters that we actually get to meet on the criminal side of things. And they all want different things. Some just want to get further in the organisation, some want to get out, some just don't want to get shot. It's really beautiful, and this is all just down in the first series alone. We'll go on to the later series in a second. On the police side of things, we'll get to see that the structure is very similar. You've got the all-encompassing police commissioner, and then level by level, shit gets rolled downhill. You get Jill Landsman, the shift lieutenant, shouting at Jimmy McNulty or the bunk, who then have to go and do all the dirty work. And it's quite an interesting comparison that in the Baltimore gang scene, it does act like a hierarchy. It's very similar to the actual police who are actually chasing them. Very, very interesting. One of the main reasons why it feels real is the dialogue. The dialogue is actual Baltimore dialogue, and it takes a while to get used to. It's almost like a foreign language at times, but once it's in there, once you get it, you'll start talking like a corner kid in no time. It's been a while since I've seen it. I normally watch it every Christmas, but haven't the last couple of Christmases. But once you get kind of involved in that dialogue, and it just sucks you in, and then boom, you're done. The best scene in the entire show, of the first series anyway, is two cop characters, Jimmy McNulty and the bunk, are trying to solve a crime or trying to find out what's happened in a murder scene. It's set in a kitchen, and through the entire scene they only say the word fuck. They're looking for clues, they're looking how the angles of the glass was smashed, looking for where the bullets ended up, only using the word fuck. It's about 5 minutes long, and it's immense. It's what you'd assume actual police work is really like. Just people being miserable at work, having a good laugh at the same time, that kind of gallows humour that I'm sure everyone has in their work, no matter what you do. You've got kind of respect for the job, but also a healthy disdain, and just them swearing their way through. And great, they do, at the end, they do find out actually what has happened, or as best an approximation as they can work out. What the show does really well is it doesn't really peg anyone as the bad guys or the good guys. They're just people trying to get along in their own social circumstance. Jimmy McNulty, our standard Irish cop cliche that we should follow, is a horrible human being. He's cheated on his wife, he barely sees his kids, he's a drunk, he's willing to kind of push the lines, bend the rules a little bit, and he's supposed to be our kind of main hero figure. The equivalent would be, for example, your Horatio Crane from CSI, or whatever, or Gil Grissom from also CSI, regular flavoured. So even our kind of main standard character to bring somebody into a series isn't a very nice character. Whereas on the other side, on the criminal side of things, there's characters in there you can't help but feel sorry for, or even respect. Stringer Bell being the main one, trying to want to become a serious businessman and getting kind of blocked off at different times by his bosses, trying to kind of evolve the business, but Avon Boxhill just wants to stay straight gangster. Probably the best thing about The Wire is the scope. Yes, it could have focused just on the wiretap operation, but on Series 2, the universe expands. So Series 1 is all about the wiretap trying to catch Avon Barksdale. Series 2, it expands to introduce the stevedores, the union workers who are running scams and the dockside. So the actual scope of the series basically doubles. Series 3, we get to involve the shenanigans going on at City Hall. And Series 4, we also get to see the schooling in Baltimore, how that affects 4 young up-and-coming kids. And Series 5, it looks at the media. So every series, it just expands the Baltimore universe, double-fold. You get the same characters, you get a brand new cast involved, and it just kind of opens your mind as to there's not everything. It's just not one thing that affects something. It feels like trying to give you a message, but it doesn't preach it. There's a load of reasons why these kids are in poverty, why they're taking drugs, why they're selling drugs, but it's never all about, well, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault. It's basically showing, look, this is what it's like, and this is what it's like on a daily basis. There's some awesome, unique individual characters that I haven't mentioned so far. Bubbles, who is a crack addict, almost homeless person who then decides to work with the police. He was an absolute tragic but also hilarious character. He's really at the lowest ebb you've ever seen him. He picks himself up and then gets shot straight back down. It's tragic watching Bubbles through the series. Another character who's probably one you have heard of is Omar Little. The Robin Hood style, robs from the drug dealers and gives out to the poor, gay, black gangster. Yeah, it's probably not something you would ever see, but such a fantastic character. Michael K. Williams portrays him, and Omar is absolutely immense. Everyone runs scared of him. You'll just wander up with his shotgun and bulletproof vest, and you'll just see corner kids scatter. Omar is absolutely immense. He's one of, I think, Obama said that he's his favourite character as well. He's just great. There's a scene in the first series where he gets called up to give evidence against a fellow drug dealer, and he absolutely rinses the prosecution by comparing his work as shooting criminals to be very similar to that of the prosecutor, except he uses a gun and the prosecutor uses a briefcase. It's an absolutely immense scene, well played by everyone. The vast majority of the cast are black, recognising that's what the Baltimore cityscape looks like, and that may be why it wasn't actually picked up as popular as other shows with a majority white cast. Is TV ready for a nearly all black cast? Yeah, I would say we should be, but the actual facts unfortunately say otherwise. It's absolutely men's. Everyone is so good at it, and you can't fail but to enjoy it. Now, the show I'd like to compare it against is C bloody S bloody I. CSI Investigations, which is the most bollocks of a cop show I've ever seen. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous and it's dangerous. So all CSI revolves around is people who work in labs mysteriously also get to go to crime scenes and also arrest criminals. So there's your bullshit, first of all. Second is that they pull one piece of evidence, maybe a hair, and then take it to their magical computers. And I would say magical is probably a fair point to them. It may as well be a wizard. They put this one hair on a computer, and then some funky 3D graphics shit goes on, and then that finds the criminal. And yes, I do understand that in kind of more popular shows, there needs to be a kind of visual demonstration, something to keep the kind of audience awake whilst they go through standard boring things. But this is CSI is dangerous, simply dangerous, because it's training people who watch the show, which is an awful lot of people. I mean, it's what, 3 versions? It's training people to think that there is going to be this magic fingerprint or hair follicle or footprint that's going to prove this person does it. And it's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks. In CSI, it may as well just be a wizard standing there who gets given the piece of evidence, who goes shalabazim, shalamabo, and go, oh, that's the dude. That's the dude who did it. There's one episode of CSI where they get a photograph and they enhance a tiny corner of it, which is a reflection of a skyscraper behind it, and they enhance it to such a degree they can see who shot the guy. I mean, really, that can't happen. That won't happen in a million years. That simply is just magic. But it's portrayed as though it's science, and juries are now going in, especially in America where CSI is so popular, expecting this trace evidence. As if an eyewitness being there and no alibi and everything else pointing to the guy who did the crime wasn't enough. No, they're looking for some extra magical bit of evidence from the wondrous trace lab who can find that shit. And it's generally dangerous because people aren't thinking sensibly. They're taking what's a science fiction story and trying to apply it to real life, and it's causing people to get off on crimes where they shouldn't be. So CSI is a load of bollocks. I'm sorry if you watch it. As long as you watch it as a kind of comedy, which is basically it is. Justin Bieber was in it, which shows how serious that show is. And now Sam Malone is from Cheers. As long as you watch it with that kind of roll your eyes kind of way, that's fine. But if you believe that's what it's actually like, then I apologise. People, similar to the archaeology boom after Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, people are trying to get into that line of work, forensic science, and it's nonsense. Just be a police officer. Go actually help somebody. That'd be super. No, I'm not going to do it because I'm an absolute fucking hypocrite. But it's an area I'm very passionate about. That people need to be careful about that kind of thing, believing stuff that is simply untrue. So you should watch The Wire. It's awesome. If you can get 2, 3, 4 episodes in, you'll not stop watching it until you've seen all 5 series. Series 5 is a bit shit, but series 1, 2, 3, 4 are immense. Probably my favourite series in there is probably series 2, which follows the union dockers, kind of blue collar workers trying to scam their way just to get a little bit more money. They're not about trying to have hundreds of riches. They're not trying to kind of buy Escalades. They're just trying to get a bit more money for their families. But they're breaking the law, and it's interesting to see the kind of white tap organisation look at them. Series 4 is tragic. It follows 4 school kids and just follows them how they get through the school system. Some of them get pulled off towards a life of crime. Some get addicted to drugs. It's terrible. It's terrible. If you watch series 4 without crying, then wow, you're heartless. Series 3 follows City Hall. Very interesting if you enjoy politics. Littlefinger's in series 3 and 4, so there's a nice little Game of Thrones connection. And series 1 is just like the best cop show you will ever see. So go and buy it. It'll be on DVD for like 10 quid or 10, 15 pounds online. So yes, go and get it. Go get it now. It's absolutely immense. So thank you much everyone for watching. That was my plea for you to watch The Wire. The more people watch it, the more people I can talk to it about. And you won't be disappointed. It is a fantastic TV show. So let me know if you like The Wire, what's your favourite series, who's your favourite character. Let me know in the comments, on my Facebook, on my Twitter. All of that information will pop up at the credits. And cheers for watching, everyone. Thanks. Good night. And let's get way down in the hole.